Good morning. I'd also like to thank Sesc, Erika, and all the team here present, Luciana, for your words, and all the spokespeople and the audience who are going to be with us the next days. A little bit more about the 33rd Bienal. It came together with two strengths that I felt when I got this invitation, how the practices of attention in the previous years affected me, how they somehow changed the way I started relating with art. And I wanted to bring this experience, my concerns, in a very important context, which is the biennial, and at the same time, critic to the model of the biennial and this hyper-discursive topic, which sometimes is separated from people's experience in the exposition space. As Luciana mentioned, attention is something that is deeply political at these times that we're living, maybe always, but now especially. And at the same time that we had a lot of demand, the biennial answered in a literal way to the problems in the countries are facing. I thought that we have the obligation of thinking a little bit beyond our everyday lives, exactly the attention. We're seeing this in our political system now, which is being hijacked. Our agenda is at the hands of a president, and we also suffer manipulation of our time and attention. And I think within culture, we feel the obligation of answering with something that's constructive, with answering with a broader question and questioning the ability of hijacking our attention. I think art has a lot to say about this. In a situation such as the Bienal that has 5,000 square meters, hundreds and thousands of visitors, it is a potential lab for us to test some hypotheses and thoughts, thinking about this experience and observing and learning also. So the entire process of construction, both of the curatorship, which suggests a more collaborative system about the unknown that is very well known on a topic and the authorization of people to bringing these topics and sharing it in a public space, as well as the educational project. This was always an important platform within Fundação Bienal since the 50s. It was being built, and we continue this tradition with this material to invite you into the realm of attention. I think one of the important things that we had in the first conversations that we had as a team, first was this part of sensibilization of the team. Since we're going to work together, we have to get to know each other within this atrium of attention. Let's work on attention exercises together and build on top of this, not only on a theoretical and abstract exercise. After this, the entire educational project was thought as a research project. We didn't know where we were going to get to. And the involvement of the Fundação Bienal team and Helena as a consultant and many other artists from the biennial that were also part of the educational project in a very deep way. This community, this learning community, was very important for us to reach to this material, to the invitation of attention, which suggests a structure for you to relate with the exposition, which is also related to the topic, which is attention affinities. How can we own this? How can we learn from our affinities? And where is this policy of affection that we are lacking at this moment? So all this project is mobilized by the mediating team, which are wonderful people that are in the everyday life in contact with the audience, in a very deep connection and ability to self-reflect. This week, I met many mediating teams, and the quality of self-reflection and self-critics was very impressive. I think one of the great assets of the biennial is this space for thought. It's not just an exposition that's going to be consumed passively, but is going to be consumed with many different voices, looks, and the attention from everyone. I would like to thank Stefanie and Grant. I think they put together a beautiful program with lots of ambition, analyzing from different points of view, both theoretical, artistic, and practical, the issue of attention and artistic point of view. So may we all have a great symposium. Thank you. I'm going to pass the floor to Stefanie.
Bom dia. I'm going to speak in English. Se vocês quiserem, tem esses audífonos com tradução simultânea lá fora. There are headphones for simultaneous translation that you can pick up outside. Thank you so much, Gabriel, for inviting us, and to the Bienal team and to the Sesc-SP. We have a very intense program ahead of us that's also very diverse. So we will have talks, performances, screenings, and attentional exercises that we're very happy to share with all of you. I'm going to do a brief introduction to the 3 days and then give you some practical information as well. So today we are really focusing on attention from different angles. So Katarzyna Kazia is going to start today by talking about attention and its enemy, so attention and boredom. Virginia Kastrup will follow later about the aesthetic experience in the work of the cartographer. And you can pick up this program also downstairs in Portuguese and in English to find more information. Next we have a screening by Aki Sasamoto, who will not be with us today.
People are saying, is the translation working?
It's not working? Oh, okay. Okay.
Now it is.
Okay. So I was introducing the program, starting with Katarzyna Kazia and the talk about attention and its enemy, boredom, followed by Virginia Kastrup speaking about the attention and the aesthetic experience of the cartographer, speaking about cartography and referring to Frederick James, Bergson, Freud, Varela, and others, followed by a screening by Aki Sasamoto, in which she looks more at sort of the everyday attention and very basic everyday mundane tasks and how they require a different attention. I will speak about attention in exhibition settings, tracing a short history and also making or referring to issues of politics and gender. And Maria Cristina Franco-Ferraz will speak about hyper-connected dispersion. And she refers to it as Teflon, or she has a word, Teflon lifestyles, which I very much like, and I encourage you to read more about it in the program and to, of course, stay and listen to her talk. And then at 4 o'clock, there will be a performance by Tamara Guimarães, who's one of the artists in the 33rd Bienal de Sao Paulo. And after the performance, we will transition together to the Bienal Pavilion. And the easiest way to get there is, by taxi or using an app for a car. And we will continue there at 5:30 with a presentation by Esther Seer, of whom many associates are here, which is absolutely fantastic. So they will introduce this research association and the practice of the third bird, which is something that has influenced the curatorial vision and methodology of the Sao Paulo Biennial. And then we continue early tomorrow morning. There's an opening like today where you can get coffee, etc. at 9 o'clock. And tomorrow we're actually at the Bienal Pavilion all day. And tomorrow Graham will start tracing the history and the epistemic and ethical implications of attention, followed by a talk by the Autoescola Insular de Atenta, which is also a group of artists that forms part of the Bienal, led by Rafael Sanchez Mateos Paniagua and others, followed by a performance by Raimundas Malasauskas and Marcos Lutyens, and which invites you to a hypnosis session and induction. And actually tomorrow at the pavilion, Raimundas and Marcos also have an installation, a sound work, that invites you to start the day with a sort of initiation or induction into attention. So you're welcome to pass through the installation, spend time there at any point of the day. And then at 11:30, Marcos, who's here with us, will actually activate the installation through a hypnosis session. This is followed by Kabwani Kiwanga's lecture performance, where she looks at the at the way that history is written, and also the colonial and other implications of how what is paid attention to in history and what isn't. This is followed by a film screening by Tiago Rocha Pita, who will also introduce his project outside of Rio de Janeiro, where he's currently starting a foundation with works that relate to the environment and pay attention to ecology, and that also stay for a longer period of time, that are not following the sort of fast rhythm of exhibitions, but that continue for a longer period. Followed by Ivone Guevara, who will speak about patriarchal Christianity and the threats that that poses to our ecosystems from an ecofeminist perspective. And Yasmin Noor will introduce us to the art of kati. It's a craft of cutting paper from the Ottoman period. Catherine Hansen and Joanna Fiducia, who are also part of the Estacer, or affiliated with the Estacer network, will do a talk on surrealist attention. And Leonardo's wall, you will hear more about this tomorrow. I won't go too much into it. And then the last session in the auditorium of the Bienal is by Yael Geller, who will focus on obsession as an attention phenomenon. And she will sort of trace attention along two coordinates, obsession and attention deficit disorder. And the last activity tomorrow evening will take place outside of the auditorium, and it's an occasion hosted by Isabel Lewis. So you're welcome to stay for that or join later in the day. And Isabel is exploring olfactory, tactile, auditory, visual, gustatory attention. And during that day, there will also be, during Saturday that is, there will also be a workshop by Helen Singh Miller that you're very welcome to join at any point of the day, so you can stay for an hour or for the entire duration of the workshop, if you like. And Helen's video Grand Union will also be shown in one of the educational spaces in the biennial pavilion. Okay, and now the last day is Sunday. We start again early in the morning at 9:30 a.m. with a panel discussion with some of the participants of the previous days, followed by a performance by Helen Singh Miller and the participants who took part in the workshop the day before, followed by a screening by Tamara Henderson of a short film which somehow, it's also in the, I would say, legacy of the surrealist filmmaking, in which lucid dreaming is part of her work, and paying attention in less conscious ways. Vivien Kakuri will give a performative talk about our relation to the environment, and specifically insects, and how we may need to pay more attention to other than human species. Followed by a video by Luisa Grossman, who's also an artist in the biennial, and an artist talk by Bruno Moreschi, who's also an artist in the exhibition. Sal Randolph will do a performance about the Sharawaji effect and focusing on sound, as well, with some samples, etc., that she has actually collected here in Sao Paulo. And Jeff Dolvin will do a lecture as sort of the last or almost last part of the symposium, about multitasking and things happening not after one another, but all at once. Then we have the opportunity for a panel discussion, summing up the 3 days of symposium, and then you're all released. So very excited that all of you are here. Thank you so much to the participants who traveled from near and far, and all of our guests. I'm very excited and look forward to the next 3 days.
So I think if it's okay, I'll speak from here. I'm a little more comfortable speaking standing up. And I'm going to speak a little slowly to make it easy on our interpreter, so thank you wherever you are in this space. I'm Graham, and when the three of us decided to divide up these introductory remarks, we agreed that Gabriel would sort of set this symposium in the context of the biennial and the work that has been done over this long period of time to make these events happen, and that Steffi would talk about the program. And it falls to me for maybe 10 minutes to try to bring into the room our theme, for real, attention. What are we here to try to think together about for these next 3 days of a very full program? This is like an endurance test of your willingness to be attentive, to pay attention. And of course, as we have just heard from Steffi, it's a very diverse program. So what holds this together? What are we here to